Hi, this is the part 2 of how is it like to work as a healthcare assistant or helsefagarbeider in Norway. So first, we are going to talk about what many of you are interested to know about the salary plus the overtillegg or the shift differential pay. And then we're going to talk about the differences of working between an agency and the municipality, as well as housing contracts and the type of shifts that we have. So the salary between municipality and staffing agencies, it differs from depending on how many years you have. Of course, they're going to count that. In my experience, staffing agencies usually count from the time when you were 18 years old, whatever experience you have had, but this depends on the staffing agency. And then, excuse me, and then of course, if you have kids and you were home with them when they were babies, they're also going to count that because it's part of, it's kind of like work, being with your kids too. So, and then you've been home, you weren't able to work in your job. So that's that. And then of course the number of years. So with the municipality, in my experience, they count only the because you're gonna fill out a form, and they would categorize it if you have work within healthcare with the public or the private company. So that will be based on that. Also, now we're going to talk about the per hour would be between 250, I have heard 250, up to 310. Now, when you reach that 300, mostly, that is very, very good as a healthcare assistant or auxiliary nurse, or what we say helsefagarbeider in Norway. What else? That is per hour. And then with the salary, it's it also depends on your in your background. Like, for example, I am a nurse from Philippines, so they also have what they call kompetansetillegg. That is the competency allowance that you will have every month added to your salary. And normally they will also count the courses that you took. So for example, I have included my courses taken from Philippines, like BLS CPR, advanced cardiac life support, IV trainings. And when I've been to Sweden, I've had different kinds of short courses. I put that in the ones I have done also in Norway. So those are important, and make sure you have certificates ready because those are gold. I mean, what I like about Scandinavia in general is they really count, they recognize the effort that you did, that you are doing. So you studying don't get waste here. And actually, when I notice, when I talk about taking courses, ask my colleagues who had done that, who's also an auxiliary nurse, or what do you call that, healthcare assistant, helsefagarbeider. So they, for example, studied the specialization within dementia or palliative care. It takes 1 year each. Or what else? Yeah, there are different courses that you could go to. And if you are if you're I'm sorry, I'm switching different languages right now. Um, and I'm also working at the same time making this video. So pardon me. I forgot what am I gonna say. Uh, yeah. Say for example, let's have an example. Palliative care for how many months? Or you can even work with that or study that part-time. It's up to you. You're gonna get an allowance. The course is for free. And then once you're done with the course, that would be added your competency allowance as well. So that's one of the things I really appreciate working in Scandinavia in general. They really take care of you, they care of your development. So if nursing is really your passion, go for it to Scandinavia. There's so many pluses. I'm not sure with I cannot say with the other countries, but we are concentrating Scandinavia here. And if this helps you, please subscribe so you get some more ideas of working here. What else affects your salary? Yeah, I think just those actually. And again, depending on, oh yes, they have the kind of work agreement, collective agreement, the standard for healthcare and for all the professions, depending on your level of education, numbers of years from a 0, 6, no, starting from 0. There are different levels of what they call it, seniority seniority pay. So depending on your education, okay, and then the number of years you have experiences in your field, they have 0. It's divided to 0, 6, 10, 0, 6, 10, and then 16. No, 0, 6, 8, 10, 16. 5 categories. I gotta double check that. We can go into this in depth if you want next time. You can comment that if you're interested, and if you have any questions, ideas I could talk about. Yep. So that is the salary agreement depending on the profession and number of years you have. That would also depend on that. Yeah, what I want to say is in Scandinavia, they have the guaranteed salary. And this is all true to all the professions for as long as you have a proper companies, and not just not just going under the table or trying to cheat the system. Otherwise it's not gonna be like that. What else does affect your salary? Yes, they also, if you have other experiences that you think are very relevant to the position you are applying in healthcare, so depending on the department, you could have for example, rehabilitation center or department, and you have a life coaching course, then you could also emphasize that, because patients in rehabilitation needs help with support in motivation, for example, and they will like that. It's a plus. So those kind of things that you think will make your negotiation better. What else? We can move on to the housing. housing with the commune or municipality, they don't normally give you that free housing. It's normally the agencies, and that's what's the nice thing with working with agency. They pay for you, for your bulig, for your apartment or house. I have experience being in both apartment and a 3-bedroom house just for myself with a big bathroom. And then when I had my assignment in the city, Trondheim, I shared an apartment with a nurse from Finland. You could, I mean, it's also not cheap to live in one of the main cities in Norway. So sometimes you have to share it. And I've experienced when I was in the south, it's not a big city. I was actually outside the city during my assignment, and the healthcare assistant that I have worked with, she said she's gonna be arranging. The staffing agency she's working for will arrange an apartment separately from mine. No, we actually work together from the same agency. And then she wished to have her own place. So we just lived together for a few days until they have fixed hers, because you could request that. But that is also depends on where your assignment is. They're normally very laid back to or generous with giving those wishes, I suppose, because they really need staff, so they grant your wish. That's how I look at it too. But otherwise, if you're in a big city, I think that would be impossible. Not unless you're the only one who's being hired in that assignment. What else do we can add on that? Yeah, I want to go back to the salary. Depending on whether you're up north or in the south, they normally give higher salary up north because there are not many people who want to work there, and the high need of staffing. Also, I have discovered actually in some kommune that they can arrange your housing. Again, this is because they're having a hard time hiring people, and some people are constantly changing career and moving in different places, so that affects of high need of staffing. Hold on, I'm just checking my patient. Okay. Yeah, some nurses and actually both nurses and healthcare assistant could have signing bonuses in other kommuner, and they would even give you an allowance if you are outside the municipality. So there are arrangements like that, depending on how many percent. If you're going to be part-time, full-time, that signing bonus would be for a year. And then if you're going to work for 1 year, for nurses, for example, there are communities that they will give you 70,000, 50,000 to 70,000 crowns as a signing bonus, and they will just adjust. That's 100%. That's full time. That's a full time. What's the word in English now? That's a full time position, and they will just have to adjust it depending on the percentage of your position up to that certain point for a year. Some will have it for 2 years, 1 year, 2 years. I think that's very generous of them. And if you move there, they will also have some payment, some kind of payment for that when you move there. So these are just those three that I have mentioned are making them look generous, because it attracts new people, new employees to come to their municipality to work. And working in municipality, I see it as more stable, especially if you have a family like mine. You're gonna miss your kids, you're gonna miss your husband. So that's why I decided to have a stable position. But who knows, maybe when my kids are bigger, maybe I could travel and work, but we'll see with that. So this is very ideal. The agencies are very ideal for singles, and it gives you that freedom to see the beauty of Norway or Sweden. We also have staffing agencies in Sweden if you like. Actually, some Norwegians would go to Sweden because they like Sweden, so it's vice versa. Different reasons. Sometimes it's not just about the money, it's also about the culture that they want to experience, the people, and of course, when you work with bemanning or agency, it's like you're on a vacation. You get free for your housing, and they reimburse also your travels from when you go there, and provided that you finished your assignment, your way back home. Just those two. In betweens, it's never that I have experienced that, or they're gonna go bankrupt. That's why they have to position the housing or the apartment very near to work, so you can just go walk. That's very, very ideal. But also, there are a few agencies that would want you to have your own car, or they will borrow a car for you that you could use if your housing is, say, 20 minutes, 30 minutes from the assignment. This I haven't experienced, because they're gonna anyway tell you about the assignment, and you're gonna know about it ahead of time, so you can always say yes or no. And also, sometimes I got an offer before outside Oslo. Oslo is the main city of the capital city of Norway, and outside it is quite hard to find employees. They really need it, but I turned it down because I have to take the bus, and I don't really want to commute. I want it very near as possible. So yeah, you can always say no, and there's nothing wrong with that. The culture here is very relaxed. You can always ask. You don't have to fear about it. There's no wrong question. It's good that you ask. So if you need help with negotiation, looking at your contracts, or finding your agencies, even making your CV, I can help you with that. You can reach out to me, to my email down below. What else can I add up into this? We talked about differences of working in the agency and municipality, salary, shift pay, differential shift pays. Oh yeah, here are or maybe I could just alarm. Sorry about that. Yeah, what else can we talk about with the contracts? We have talked about contracts now. Contracts in the agencies could be 1 month, 2 months, and you're gonna have a rolled out shift. It could be a mix of day and evening, and then some weekends, or you could just have night shifts. So that's how it's like with the shifts here. We also have long schedule shift. That's 12 and a half hours. That's the longest. Sometimes it happens in the weekend when it's real necessary, and now they're actually testing that more and more in Norway. For me, I like the long shifts. I mean, you know, I could push a few more hours. I'm already at work. And the longer hours you work, but also it depends on your stamina. And the way I see it is the longer hours you work, the fewer days you have to go prepare yourself to go to work, right? So, yeah. But of course, we are different. So, you can always choose that. You can mention that to your coordinator if you happen to go for staffing agencies. It's a big plus, especially they will relay it to the municipality that the agency are connected to. And especially for if you're going to be direct hired by the municipality, they will appreciate that. The more flexible you are. Now, this is both if you work, either you work on agency or municipality, it's a very big plus that you are flexible. But of course, you got to take care of yourself, not just say yes, yes, yes. You still have to say no. And it's okay. Like I said, the culture here is very relaxed. What else? There's so many things I want to talk about, and I have to be as structured as I can. And also while I'm at work and it's calm. So, yeah. What else could I add on this video? I guess we could stop right here, and you could comment for improvements and any topic that you're curious of. But I will try my best to upload more videos every week. And if you want my help, just reach out to my email below, and so we can design your career as a healthcare worker in Scandinavia, particularly in Norway. I could also talk about in Sweden if you wish. All right. Have a great day.